Hello, this video will help you to understand about the mean variance of a continuous random variable. We will move on to the problem. The problem is, let x be a continuous random variable with PDF given by f of x is equal to kx e power minus x, which is valid for x greater than 0, and it is going to be 0 elsewhere. The problem is to find, question number 1, the value of k, number 2 to find the value of mean, and number 3 to find the value of variance. Now, how to find the value of k? We have been given with a continuous random variable. We know that integral from minus infinity to infinity f of x dx is equal to 1. We will make use of this property to estimate the value for k. So what will this give us? The range over here is x greater than 0, which means we have integral from 0 to infinity k x e power minus x dx is equal to the total value or the probability equal to 1. Let us take k outside, and now we will have to integral from 0 to infinity x e power minus x dx, which is equal to 1. So now over here, when we observe inside the integration, we have x, which is an algebraic function, and e power minus x, which is an exponential function. So we will be applying the formula for the integral u dv formula, which is given by uv minus integral v du. And when the higher powers goes on, you can refer this as Bernoulli's formula. So u is always chosen by the formula I late, where I stands for inverse, L for logarithmic, A for algebraic, T for trigonometric, and E for exponential. Now which comes first? Algebraic. So u is identified with x and dv is identified with e power minus x dx. So now u has to be differentiated and dv has to be integrated. What happens to du? Du will become equal to dx, and so after that the derivative will stop. And so what will be the first derivative? V will be e power minus x on integration is e power minus x divided by minus 1. Okay, so we can use uv. What is uv? uv is going to be x into v. What is v? E power minus x by minus 1 minus integral v du. What is v? E power minus x by minus 1, and du is going to be dx. The entire thing has to be applied between the limit 0 to infinity and whole value times of k equal to 1. So now applying, we need to keep in mind that e power minus infinity is going to be 0 and e power 0 is going to be equal to 1. So when we apply e power minus infinity, e power minus infinity will become equal to 0 minus lower limit 0 into e power minus 0. So 0 into something will give us 0. So totally this term will vanish. Now moving on to the second term, minus into minus, this will make it as plus. Integral e power minus x on integration gives us e power minus x divided by minus 1, for which we need to apply integral from 0 to infinity, and this total value is 1. So we have k times of apply upper limit e power minus infinity, e power minus infinity 0 minus lower limit e power 0. What is e power 0? E power 0 is 1, and we have a minus 1 over here. This can be cancelled off, so e power 1 can be identified with 1. So k times of 1 equal to 1. So we have k to be equal to 1. So now we have fixed the value of k, that is our first subdivision has been estimated. So what is going to be the second subdivision? I need to find the value for mean. So once the value of k is obtained, go and fix it back in your function f of x. So what will happen to my function f of x? The function f of x will now become 1x e power minus x for x greater than 0, and it is going to be 0 elsewhere. So this becomes my f of x, for which I need to find mean. What is the formula for mean? Mean is nothing but e of x, expected value of the random variable, which is given by integral x into f of x dx for a continuous random variable. So what will happen over here? This e of x, that is the mean, is given by integral. What is my function? X multiplied by f of x. What is f of x? So x e power minus x dx, valid for x greater than 0. So put 0 to infinity. So next stage what happens? I have integral 0 to infinity x square e power minus x dx. So now again you will have uv formula, but the power is 2, so you will have to differentiate 2 times. So what we can do is fix u to be equal to x square. What will be the first derivative? U dash. U dash will be equal to 2x. And what will be u double dash? U double dash will be equal to 2. So now go for your derivative, integration of dv. dv is e power minus x dx. So what will be v? v will be equal to e power minus x by minus 1. So u will be clubbed with what? V. So for u dash we will require v1. What will be e1? E power minus x divided by minus 1 and 1 more minus 1. So this will be clubbed with my v1. So next stage, one more integration, which would be e power minus x divided by minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. So when you integrate, you will have 3 times minus 1. So 2 will be clubbed with this. The next derivative will be u triple dash. 2 on differentiation is 0. So 0 when you club with anything, that will become equal to 0. So now we will have to place alternatively positive, negative and positive sign. So we are now ready for applying the limit. So keep your x square. So club it with e power minus x by minus 1. Second term is going to be negative. Club it with 2x and e power minus x divided by minus into minus is going to be positive 1. Third term is going to be positive 2 into e power minus x divided by 1, 2, 3. So that makes it as minus 1. So last term is 0. So you can apply integral from 0 to infinity. So don't worry like the integration is going to be too much big or too much complicated. The terms will vanish off very easily when you apply e power minus infinity as your 0. Okay, so what you need to keep in mind is e power minus infinity is 0. You have e power minus infinity, e power minus infinity, e power minus infinity. So you need not have to bother about the upper limit. Upper limit will always become equal to 0 over here, how much big the expression is. Now the second thing is e to the power of 0 is going to be equal to 1 when we are going to apply this. But what happens? X takes the value 0. So you have a x here, so lower limit becomes 0, x here, so lower limit 0. So what is the only term to exist? Only this portion is going to exist for me. Okay, so my upper limit is going to be 0 minus, now I go for lower limit, 1 term 0, 2 term 0. What is the third term? So it is going to be 2 e to the power of 0 divided by minus 1. And so what will be our final answer? This minus can be cancelled off. So you have 2 e power 0, which is going to be equal to 1. So the value of e of x will be equal to 2. So this is going to be a method of Bernoulli's formula, which you are going to continuously differentiate for u and integrate for v. Now moving on to the third part of the question. What is going to be the third part of the question we want? We want variance. Okay, so how to estimate the formula for variance? So we will move to the next page to find variance. What is going to be variance of x? We need to recollect the formula for variance of x as e of x square minus e of x the whole square. in this part we have already computed e of x, which is the mean, for which we have got the answer as 2. So the only thing we need to now compute is going to be e of x square. So now let us concentrate on computing e of x square. How to compute e of x square for a continuous random variable? So this is nothing but integral x square into f of x dx. So now this becomes integral x square into, what was our f of x? F of x was k was equal to 1, into f of x was x e power minus x dx, and the value for integration is between 0 to infinity. Now when we multiply x square and x, so we will have totally integral from 0 to infinity x cube e power minus x dx. Again we can see this is going to be algebraic and this is going to be exponential. So what you will have to do, fix u as algebraic, u equal to x cube. So the first derivative will be 3x square. The second derivative will be 6x. The third derivative will be equal to 6. And what will happen to the fourth derivative? Fourth derivative will become equal to 0. So you will stop the process over here. And how about dv? dv will be e power minus x dx. So what will be the first derivative? v1. v1 will be equal to e power minus x by minus 1 on integration. We will write 1 in the bottom so that we are not getting confused over here with the derivative of it. So the bottom one stands for integration. Okay, so v double derivative double integration. So what will happen? This is e power minus x divided by minus 1. One more time when I integrate, I will have a one more minus 1 over here. Okay, so how to club it? The first term with v1, second term with v2. So how to club this with v3, third derivative, so third integration. So third integration will give me minus 1 and one more minus 1. So 6x will be clubbed with this. And now for the fourth one, integration will give me e power minus x by minus times 4 ones. So it will be minus 1 the whole power 4, which will be positive in nature. So I can club 6 with this one. How about 0? Whatever 0 is clubbed with, that is automatically going to turn as 0. Okay, so there will be no more further integration or differentiation. Now put your signs. First term is positive, second term negative, third term positive, fourth term is going to be negative. So you can start applying the formula. Keep x cube as such. This is clubbed with e power minus x by minus 1. Second term negative, 3x square e power minus x divided by minus into minus plus 1. Third term positive, 6x into e power minus x divided by minus 1. Fourth term negative, 6 into e power minus x divided by positive 1. And so the process stops over here, and now you have to apply integral from 0 to infinity. Again, don't worry children, it is going to be very easy when you apply the limit. Okay, only thing what you need to keep in mind is e power minus infinity is 0 and e power 0 is going to be equal to 1. E power minus infinity, e power minus infinity, e power minus infinity, e power minus infinity. So what is your upper limit? Upper limit will vanish and go to 0. Minus lower limit, x takes the value 0, so 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, and only this term will exist. So upper limit minus the lower limit. What is the lower limit? 6 minus of minus will become plus 6. So this is going to be my e of x square. And last stage, what is our variance of x? Variance of x is e of x square. What is variance of x? E of x square is 6 minus e of x. What was e of x? That is equal to 2. Okay, so now you have it as 2 square. So it is 6 minus 4. So what is the final answer? It is going to be equal to 2. That's it, dear.